Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt Bailey. You're tuned to Live with SMWS, the live stream for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I'm here doing our live stream on Malt of the Month. This week is Outturn week. It's the week leading into June Outturn. I think that's really exciting because it's a whole new Outturn ready to go for June for your winter treats, for everything in there. And we're really mixing it up in this issue. You're going to see what I mean by some of the things going on in here. There's all sorts of things about winter cocktails with the society. Three suggested cocktails from our wonderful partner bars around the country, including 18th Amendment in Geelong. If you've not been, well worth dropping into if you're in Geelong. Of course, I don't know if that's possible right now. Big shout out to our Victorian contingent, our Victorian members who are all stuck in lockdown. I think it might be Melbourne lockdown or Victorian lockdown. Shows how much I've been reading the news. I know you're in some sort of lockdown. You probably shouldn't be going to bars at the very least. Mark Teague, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. There's a great article from Andrew as well. Time will tell. He wrote about whiskey appreciation and how you can't skip the time part of appreciation. Malt of the Month is the next page on here. Mark Teague version 2, also known as Whiskey's My Jam. Also thumbs up. Whiskey glass to you, sir. And then Malt of the Month, my article. There's some other I saw one of the comments I read on the on our Facebook group was about how this June Outturn is probably one of the most what's the word for it? One of the most banging outturns they'd seen, which is great to hear. Really it's a very diverse outturn. There's some really wonderful whiskeys in this edition. Darren, evening, Matt and crew. Hope everyone is going well, going great. Everyone's going great here, Darren. Thank you so much for the comment. Thanks for tuning in. This is all about Malt of the Month tonight. Exploring the June Malt of the Month, Granny's Kitchen on baking day. It's up on the screen there on the other half of the screen, but I'll hold it up anyway to show that I've actually got a real bottle of it here. I'm going to pour a dram of this. I'm going to have a bit of a chat about it. I'm using a society glass, and I'm going to pour a dram of that. Okay, let's have an explore of what's going on here. Granny's Kitchen on baking day. Now, let me just start. Before I start, I want to just acknowledge that amazing comment from Justin Farmer. The music while we waited for you. I thought I was on the vaccine hotline call waiting. All Vic lockdown, mate. Okay, Justin, I wasn't sure if it was Melbourne or if it was all of Vic. I'm sorry to hear that. And I think that's a very funny comment. That was a bit music-y, wasn't it, that track as I entered in? I like a bit of sort of like cruisy boat jazz as I start the streams. I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. What am I going to put? Death metal or maybe bagpipes? I don't know. Blame Caden for that comment. We're back in lockdown. Watch Matt's audience numbers skyrocket. Mate, people watch whether you're in lockdown or not. I appreciate it. I really do. Evening, everyone, says Mr. Turton. Good to see you, mate. Tonight we're talking about Malt of the Month. Tonight's the focus of this live stream is to talk about Malt of the Month. I've got a few live streams coming up in the next few nights about the releases in Outturn, but also we've got some other stuff coming up. So tonight is Malt of the Month. Tomorrow night, I'm going to let you decide. So watch to the end of this live. It's not a long live. We're just talking about Malt of the Month tonight. Watch to the end, and you get to pick what I'm going to taste and talk about tomorrow night, which would be really good to see. And then I've got some selections from Outturn here in the office at the moment, which I want you to help pick which one I'm going to go from. There's something I really want to make mention of in this Outturn, however. The digital copy is a little bit different because we added a couple of events, Canberra and Adelaide. Make sure you jump in on those. Grab your free 3 dram set. There it is. Open your Outturns either digitally or physically and have a look at the 3 dram set. We're giving one away to every single member who refers a member, and we're giving one away to a new member as well. So you're a member already. So I say, Darren Howie, you're a member. If you invite your friend Joe Blow to join the society, he gets a new pack and you get the pack as well. So it's got 68.49, which is a 9-year-old spicy and sweet from Distillery 68. It's got 39.199 polishing melons, a 30-year-old Vaults Collection sample, and 10.201 Panel Puncher Peat Smoke. It's 90 mils of whiskey, completely free. Just a free referral box. It's not like you go in the draw to win it. We send you one. We send them out batch to meet week by week. Darren, speaking of which, says we're about to exploring our 3.318. We were lucky enough to get, and now you're smashing us with more. Killing us. Death by Bailey. Bankruptcy imminent. I don't like those hashtags, but I'll take it. Yes. Look, Darren, I'm just going to make a remark on that, actually. We spread the May Outturn out across the 3 weeks of releases, and the overwhelming feedback from members has been that was a good thing. We are here to listen to your kind of feedback and requests on this kind of stuff. We learn from what works best for you as members of the society. I know that it's like that doesn't happen with like retailers, or doesn't happen with whiskey shops. This happens with the society, where if you guys think that works, if you really enjoyed how we did that, we're happy to stretch it out like that for other outturns where there's a lot going on, and there might be some special releases in an outturn that we advertise an outturn and then put maybe in the mid-month, or put later in the month. I think it worked really well splitting up the festivals, because there was at least a couple of bottlings from each, except Campbelltown, there's only the one. So we did sort of Highland, the 2 bottlings, Speyside, the 2 bottlings, Malt of the Month at the beginning, and Isla and Campbelltown at the end. I think it works because it kind of works the way the festivals do as well. You always finish with the Isla festivals, and they're a lot of fun. Well, you can do that, Darren. You can do that, and then you both get center pack. Yeah, Carla, we're your newest member tomorrow. That's perfectly fine. Great idea. Really appreciate that, Darren. I appreciate the feedback on the splitting up of the outturn, because in years prior, we've just dropped the whole festival outturn at once on the first Friday, and that A means that you will inevitably miss out on 1 or 2 that you're after, and B, it means that the credit card gets smashed right on the first Friday, and then it's like. Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of like you get to spread it out a bit more if there's a few bottlings you're after. My personal picks from the festival bottlings, I'll be completely honest with you. The 9.200 was a highlight of the Sydney Festival tasting last Friday night at the RSC. Fantastic night. Some of the photos are up now on our Facebook page. I'll put them up in the group as well. I should have put them in the group already. There you go. There's also the 93.155 had one of the most marvelous mouthfeels. Something about that 93 was like some of the younger 93s we see, like those 8 and 9-year-old ones, are sort of like almost like rock pools and chlorine and fascinating sort of like really sort of like tarry rope notes, which I love. You've got to be in the mood for, but it's a really unique flavor out of that distillery. Some of the older 93s we get, like the 15, 16, even 28-year-old ones we've had recently, you get a much more sort of sedate, syrupy, old leather note. And that one, I think the 93.155 was right in the middle. It captured a bit of both the old worldy kind of older style ones and a little bit of the younger sort of brash ones. And that was kind of fun. It was a really fun whiskey. And yes, and we save it, and we save you on postage law. Look, yeah, well, I mean, that's fine. We'll send them both to the same address. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that pack is for real. It's $79 value of that pack. It's not like you go in the draw to win it. It's literally, we'll just send you one, refer a member, or join yourself. If you're not a member, you join. Every new member who joins gets one automatically. Every referrer gets one automatically. We will produce as many as we have stock for, and as many as we can to share around the love of a whiskey club. So of the society. So anyway, let me talk about Malt of the Month. I've brought it up on the side screen here. It's still there. It's on the bottom of the screen as well. It's on the tag at the bottom of the screen there. Granny's Kitchen on baking day, 9.191. 9191. Yes. One of 178 bottles, a 17-year-old single cask, first fill ex-bourbon barrel from Distillery 9. There it is. Granny's Kitchen baking day, sweet, fruity, and mellow flavor profile. This is in Outturn. This is in Outturn for $1.99. Now, I don't talk about price much on live streams. I don't talk about the price because the price is whatever you deem to be it worth, but I think, I'm being completely honest here, I think a 17-year-old single cask whiskey at cask strength, 55.4, that sweet spot, mid-50s, for $1.99, reduced from $2.30, I think is cracking good value. I think has remarkable good value. We're going to look back on these days of going, imagine getting 17-year-old from Distillery 9 for $1.99. I think that's very good value. Comment coming in from our YouTube audience. Jesse says, wishing you all well from Victoria. Hopefully the whiskey lasts until we're able to indulge at our delayed festival. Jesse, I'm really hoping everything clears up in time for your festival as well. 25th of June is going to be around the corner before we know it. We don't want to keep this lockdown rolling or extending And I've heard people speculating on it being a month long or things like this, which is just, if it is, it is, and we'll all just get through it. We'll all just plug on. We've been through a lot worse last year, so I think this year, I think we're already keeping our chins up, and we're being resilient about it. But there you go. And Jesse says, what an age statement for Malt of the Month. It's Malt of the Month is often, we try to keep it in that sort of like, if we've got a great cracking 8-year-old Highland whiskey or a 10-year-old Islay whiskey or something like that. This is a 17-year-old Space Cider. And boy, oh boy, first of all, the first thing I've noticed from being in the Society glass here, I don't know if that camera's picking it up, but the oils on the sides of this glass just leaching down. So it is quite viscous in the glass here. That name is so apt as well. A very comforting dram, it says. And the label says a comforting dram, Granny's kitchen on baking day, and enticing tropical fruits, richly honeyed and smooth, but with a pleasing prickle. They use the word smooth on a Society bottle. I think in this case, it's very justified, though. Baking spices, fresh bread, fresh damper, even. Chopped hazelnuts, so it's like fresh hazelnuts, almond butter. Oh, that's lovely. That is exactly what I was in the mood for as well. That is just, I can feel that one running down. It is literally, I can feel it moving down my throat right now. It's very warming. Very warming. That's very approachable as well. 55, I remarked before about it being 55.4%. I'm a big sucker for, first of all, teenage casks. A lot of distilleries I find around the world excel in the teenage years, and they're different at younger years. They're brisk and vibrant, and older years they're often more sedate, more complex. However, they're just different on either ends. Sometimes you taste something like this from a Speyside distillery that's 17 years of age. It's got that lovely richness, and it feels like it's hit the sweet spot, if that makes sense. I've talked before on live about cask versus spirit and meeting right in the middle, and where they should meet in the middle, and how that flavor adapts. That's lovely. This is a distillery we've obviously got a good relationship with. We did release 9.200, the festival bottling, which we got in rather quickly from the UK festivals to release at the same time as the UK. We've dialed back 9 casks here, 9.191. And I'll just hold that up so you can see it again there. There it is, Granny's Kitchen on baking day. And like Jesse said, it's an quite an interesting age statement for this month Outturn. There's the cover for Outturn. Yes, it's people in summer clothes warming up. Shake up your winter, it says. And then there's our Malt of the Month. The price isn't listed on that one, but it was later, don't worry. So it says up the top here, Distillery 9 has a long history with the Society and is one of the most iconic Speyside distilleries of note. Built in 1839 by John and James Grant, this distillery was enormous, ambitious, and very quickly built a reputation of quality for blenders. So this is a distillery that is renowned for its quality spirit that blenders desired. It was often regarded as a dressing malt. This is not a workhorse sort of malt. This is a dressing malt. This is something a little bit special that blenders would source for their blends. By 1898, they'd grown so big they built a second distillery across the road, which would later go on to be called Cappadonic. And Cappadonic is distillery 38 in our lingo, and we have some 38s coming through soon, which is exciting. We've had a few lately, Lust for Must and Earl Grey Tea Tree Oil come to mind straight away. 2 incredible whiskies. But it's the funny thing is they built that second distillery and they called it imaginatively Glen Grant 2. And they thought, oh yeah, we'll just create the same distillery across the road and it'll supply our needs. It was never the same spirit. They were very different spirits. I find Distillery 9, I've already said the name of the distillery anyway, to be, I'd say, even more versatile in some ways. Whereas I found, from what I've tried, Distillery 38, pardon me, across the road, a bit more sort of, it needs a bit more time, and they excel much better at older ages. Anyway, the 17 was my favorite of Distillery 50. Seems to be a lucky number. That was my favorite of Distillery 50. Yeah, look, the Distillery 50. We've had a few Distillery 50s over the years, and hopefully some more coming through soon, which is exciting. If you caught my live stream where I had a special guest on last week, Will Pitchforth from Distillery 50, who divulged in that live stream that we've got a renewed relationship with that distillery at the SMWS, which is great to hear, and he's working very closely with them. I've said this before as well. This is one of the things that makes the society so different. I had a chat with someone literally this morning about this, about how we are not just going into distilleries and buying what is available, or going to brokers and buying these casks that they don't want and offloading spirit here and there. We are bottling spirit that has to have a reason to be bottled. Does that make sense? We're bottling spirit that has a purpose, has a story, and is of our specification. You can't ask for more than that. And we're aging it ourselves. It's our spirit, our casks, our aging, our bottling, our tasting panel. I've let that sit in the glass now. It has opened up a bit. I'm going to add the water, just so you know that I'm going to take one for the team here and try both with and without. Just add a dash there. Oh, wow. It's almost red apple with a bit of water. Still that fresh bread note. Fresh bread and rice and... That's lovely. So, I said, so this is Malt of the Month. There's 48 bottles available. Make that 47. There's one here now. 47 bottles available in Outturn this Friday midday. Fascinating distillery. As I talked a little bit now, it's a 17-year-old first fill bourbon barrel. I just want to touch on that just for a moment. Most of the spirit that is distilled at Distillery 9 goes into refill casks. Most. It suits their spirit style. It's a very light and floral spirit style at Distillery 9. It's often get sort of light, fresh, apple-in kind of notes in their spirit, and it's a very delicate spirit. Andrew talked about a little bit last Friday night at the festival tasting about 9.200, saying that this distillery was propelled by the Italian market and some clever marketing, and they're in this distillery selling really well in Italy, and that's carried the Europeans chapter of this distillery very well. But yeah, it's a fascinating history, as I've talked a bit about before as well, and they have a great core range as well to remark on. In fact, the core range bottling is a core range bottling as our welcome dram last Friday, which was a lot of fun. So this is you don't normally see a first fill ex-bourbon barrel from this distillery. So this is something of our specification. This is something we've aged. This is our 17-year-old expression that we get to offer up for just $1.99 as Malt of the Month. Definitely in the sweet, fruity, and mellow profile. Very deserving. It didn't fall apart with water either. As I've said before, old whiskey, as you start heading into like 17, 18-year-old whiskey, water can start to be a little bit too much. It falls apart too easily. It loses that delicacy, especially a spirit like this spirit, especially Distillery 9. But I think it's actually brought out some more fruits. Mango skins. Yeah, there's a lot going on in there. That's a very shareable whiskey, if that makes sense. Very shareable indeed. Lots of fun. Here are the stills. I just brought that photo up so we could at least have a look at it. Something Andrew talked about at length in the tasting on Friday. Does that come up on the screen fully? There they are. There's the stills at Distillery 9. So yeah. So it's the stills are sort of the main driver of the lightness of the spirit from this distillery. It's almost square boil bulbs. I think you can see just behind the stills there, and which increase the copper surface significantly, and they're also fitted with purifying chambers in the line arm, which act as a pre-condenser and refluxing back heavy elements, which are carried down the purifier pipe into the body of the still. So that it's just what that means is in English basically means that it's a very light spirit character, and it predominantly works very well in ex-bourbon. They don't fill much into ex-sherry at this distillery at all, actually. Question coming through from Jesse Morgan says, care to comment a little on the tar pit? It's either incredibly appealing or needs further warnings on the label. Hard to say without experiencing it. I do have a tar pit here in the office that I can do a little review on tomorrow night if you like, Jesse. Tar pit is a lot like the other heresy blended malts that we've done before at the Society. It's peated, it's slightly sherried, it's a bit monstrous, but at the same time, it's easily one of the more quaffable ones as well. Pardon me. So on a cold night like tonight, and I hear it's very cold in Melbourne the last few days. On a cold night like tonight, having something like tar pit would hit the spot, I think. It's very much a fun, approachable 50% though. And you're getting a little bit of, it's a bit of grit, a bit of peat, a bit of sherry. It's a lot of things going on in that blend. I think I'll just again reiterate that Ewan Campbell, who looks after the blending of the heresy blended malts from the Society, I reckon as a blender, he is getting better and better all the time. Learning blending as an art form is something entirely different always. So that's there's my thoughts on tar pit. Darren Howie asks, Matt, has Andrew Durbridge or anyone else written anything worth reading on still shape, etc., and its effect on flavor, i.e. width, how tall, neck shape, line arm angle, etc.? I don't know if Andrew's written an in-depth specifically on that. He's written quite a bit on Whiskey and Wisdom. Well, worth checking out his blog. And we've written a fair bit on still shapes and sizes, a little bit here and there on the Society Whiskey Wise on our blog as well. Not specifically though, no, Darren. I mean, there's a certain alchemy to it as well. I mean, they all operate differently. The shape and size and speed and everything that they run at plays a contributing factor to the spirit. And then, of course, the narrowness or wideness or width of the spirit cut from the heart of the spirit cut from the stills as well plays a huge part, and that's always at the discretion of the distiller. I mean, we could delve into a bit more. I mean, there's a recent article on our website, actually, on the SMWS website about differences between column and pot distillation. That could help. That could be a good sort of precursor, but we should probably look at doing a part 2 on that as well. Big shout out to Jenna in our US branch who helping write that one. What else? I mean, there are some factors which you can almost rely on. Like when you see sort of really sort of tall, skinny stills, you can almost rely on it being a sort of a light tropical spirit. When you see sort of short, fat, and dumpy stills, it often means you're going to see quite a robust, heavier spirit, which kind of makes sense given the shape. But I'm always fascinated by that as well. And whether it's got whether the necks are jacketed, whether there's condensers, purifiers, the angle of the line arm, all that stuff makes a huge difference to the end spirit there. Pardon me. Have you sampled the 10.203 yet? I have not. No, I haven't. It is good to see a little bit of an older 10 coming through, though. Fading the west away, or whatever it's called. What's wrong? The day is fading west away. Am I saying that right? Yeah. It's a 14-year-old refill in the in Outturn from 10.203 there. We've got a nice stack of them as well. 54 of them coming in, which is great. So that one will be one well worth probably seeing we might be able to get a chance to feature that here and there, but no, James, I haven't yet sampled it, but I will show you now as we're heading into the last sort of 5 minutes of the stream. I guess I like mine short, fat, and stumpy. Give me the hobbits any day. Oh, look, Jesse, it's kind of, it works both ways. I mean, there's sometimes there's a time and place for different sort of spirits, and it's funny when you often get. I'm a huge fan of exploring whiskeys that are from short, fat, and dumpies, well, there's heaps, but like just stills like say Dalmore or Strathmill, or there's quite a few that are sort of on that spectrum where they and then you taste that in a refill bourbon cask, and that's always a lot of fun when you taste a robust spirit in a light cask profile, and then the other way around when you taste a tall, skinny still in a really sort of rich PX cask or something. That's always those kind of like, you expect the robust spirit to sit in a lighter cask to shine a bit differently. Anyway, I like that kind of thing as well. Sorry, late to the stream. Malt of the month looks nice this month. Same distillation date as the 9 festival release, I noticed. What would have made one a festival release and one a regular release? Ooh, very good question. Very good question. I can't see who asked that because they haven't allowed StreamYard to see their name, but that's fine. I'll answer it. It's a very good question. In a nutshell, yes, they're going to be the same distillation date. One of them would have been one that Ewan's worked on for a longer time in terms of picking out what he wanted to reflect in the festival bottlings. This is quite different from the 9.200, which is the magic of the single cask. Both distilled on the same day. Sorry, I'm coughing. I'm a bit dry throated. Sorry. Both distilled. Oh, that's good. On the same day, but both totally different whiskeys. And that's like I say, the alchemy of how the single cask works. And I'm a huge fan of 9.200. This one is remarkably different. I find it's even, I'd say it's even a bit more on the baking spices and side, whereas the 9.200 was a bit more on sort of the fruit and the cherries and the marshmallows. So that was kind of maybe the profile that Ewan was going for. Maybe he had an option on this one. Maybe it was a toss up between the two. Maybe it was a toss up between four. I don't know. But these are the two that would have passed panel, and these are the two that he would have gone with the 9.200, or the panel would have said this 9.200 is fruity, it's fresh, it's lovely, it's cherries, it's marshmallows. Let's make that the festival release. It would have just been that kind of decision. Old Pulteney. Sorry, Mark, you're right. Yes, of course, Old Pulteney. Yes, that's a good example of short, fat, and stumpy, which makes a heavy distillate, and that's why Pulteney at a young age is fascinating spirit. Actually, if you've ever had, I know people often hunt out things like older and older whiskey all the time. You know, blah blah blah, 18-year-old this and 25-year-old this and 35-year-old this, and there was a 35 or even 40-year-old Pulteney core range bottling a couple of years ago. I got a chance to taste the 35-year-old. It came in like some ridiculous wooden box. But if you do see young, if you get a chance to taste like 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old Pulteney, it's something else. It really is. It's fantastic. It's like tasting young Islay whiskey. You can taste the land and where it was made far better than something that's sat in a cask for too long. Now, I've got 3 more casks in the office here. We're going to let you pick what's next, because I've picked out some of the weirder ones from Outturn, I think, and I'm keen to hear what you think I should taste on the live stream tomorrow night. We can have a chat about it and ask some questions. Now, first one is 12.49. Is this the way to Amarillo? It's an ex-IPA cask, 12. Second fill ex-IPA barrel. So we're looking at explosion of citrus fruits merged with bitter orange from Amarillo hops, persistent dark chocolate, cinnamon in a pine forest. There's one. Number 2. How about 128.14 dark chocolate cremo? The cremo, a 7-year-old from Wales. This thing is basically pitch black in the bottle. That's exciting, I guess. But that's a second fill ex Oloroso. Looking at notes of fruits and dark chocolate cremo, crunchy nut praline, caramel sauce, amaretto. And then the weird one. This is a weird one. It's G15.8. A campfire cookout. Refill HTMC hogshead. So refill heavy toast medium char hogshead. Highland grain whiskey that is unpeated grain in a peated cask. So it's a lightly peated flavor profile. Wrap your head around that. An unpeated whiskey in the peated profile. That's exciting. I'm keen to see what that tastes like. If it tastes anything like the name suggests, like campfire cookout, that's exciting. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get those really lovely kind of like crystalline baking by a bonfire notes. If anyone remembers Breakfast in a Highland Croft, that was a cask. Anyway, I've got those 3. I might try 1 or 2 of them tomorrow night, see how we go. Talk about dark chocolate crema. Lots of vote for dark chocolate. G15.8. You know I need to know. So many bottles, man. If you need help with those, you know where to find some volunteers. My office is basically what you just seen there. It's just bottles. There's just bottles everywhere. It's good fun. G15, as would like to see you do a grain. So finished in a peated barrel. Oh, look, there's a lot of people saying G15. I think it's going to be G15 tomorrow night. That's exciting. the votes, that's like 4 votes for G15 coming through. G15.8 Campfire Cookout. Let's do that one tomorrow night. That's a 12-year-old non-peated grain whiskey, because you can't peat grain per se, from a second fill HTMC peated hogshead. I'll find some more information on this, but from our team. But the tasting on the front says a campfire cookout of hams, hot dogs, crisp bacon, banana bread, smoked sea salt, and white wine sauerkraut. Come on! How exciting is that? That sounds exactly up my alley. That is the kind of peated whiskeys I love. I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of big peated whiskeys, these peat monsters, these heavily peated flavor profiles. Not my favorite. I'm okay with that. But these lightly peated, kind of like weird and wonderful smoky bacon, hams, sauerkraut kind of peated whiskeys that are nuanced and interesting and multifaceted. That's my jam. Okay, I'm going to crack this open tomorrow night. We'll have a chat about it. Dark Cremant was my vote. Ooh, democracy is on the grain. Seems fitting. Well, Jesse, we might try both. Let's see how we go. We'll play it by ear. I will see you all tomorrow night. That's our wrap on Malt of the Month. It's out this Friday with the rest of Outturn, 9.191. I'll hold it up once more for everyone to see. There it is, all in its glory, and I'll bring it up one more time. There we go. In the meantime, thank you so much for playing along. Matthew says, any Melbourne events planned for July/August? Matthew, we're about to announce some July events for Melbourne. Oh, actually, it might be August. But we're just really sitting on our hands at the moment on doing that, because it's not a great look to announce events when you're in the middle of a lockdown. But there's a lot coming in from Melbourne soon. Like, keep your ears out for what's happening in Melbourne. We love you guys. We're going to be doing lots of events in Melbourne for the rest of the year. Big shout out to Alex Moores, our most patient state manager, who has been state manager now for a year and a half and hasn't managed to do really much with it, unfortunately. Just the state of the world that we're in. That's not a criticism of him. That's a criticism of the fact that we're living through COVID. Thank you all so much for joining in on this live stream. It's been fantastic. It's Monday night. We'll see you Friday, of course, for Outturn, but I'll see you tomorrow night for the rest of for the next live stream. Thank you all. May your whiskey be redder than your nose. I'll take that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow night. This has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much. In the meantime, Sludger, drink well, be happy, be healthy. See you soon.